Tes, waduh. Halo teman-teman semua, balik lagi dengan gue Klasul. Jadi, gue mau ngapain? Ya, nggak tahu sih sebenarnya mau ngapain. Kita gaskan aja lah. Kita gaskan aja ya. Oh iya, salah. Ini kok gue display capture. Harusnya ini, nah kan enak liatnya. Dari sini kayaknya gue sambil buka spotting finding. Karena apa? Karena gue mau sambil sporty finding, cuk. Kabut, cuk. Ntar cok. Bentar. Ini kok ngelek banget, cok. Wih, ngelek. Sumpah ngelek kali, bos. Apa yang kau mau sekarang? Sekarang ada artinya marah. Tanya seorang kemudian sekarang. Ntar lagi sih. Bentar ya guys, yang ngalang ya. Feel alone. My phone, I'll be me, you mine.
In the test before it launched.
Wait.
I've seen people who
Ada
have not
flash
posted the
streaming
verified
ini.
numbers, but people
Maple
suggesting it's much
story.
higher than that. Perhaps you can confirm that. But my question really is
Masih
how
Domi.
MapleStory, just anecdotally from what you've seen, how the traditional MapleStory fans have reacted, whether they're suspicious because it's got blockchain and a token in it. I know even
Token in it. And a token in it.
On chain, and it has a lot of on-chain elements. And immediately the core Eve fan base were very, very suspicious because of the, NFT and token. It causes the same visceral
NFT
reaction
and
to traditional games. I
token.
wondered if you'd seen that with the MapleStory player base, or have they
Playbase.
got involved and are on the game?
Wow, again.
Anjing.
I think,
To be honest with you, it's very similar as well as
belum kejual juga, cok.
as a normie gamer who are not into blockchain, not into tokens or NFTs. When you hear
Siapa nih, cok? Who is this? Who fucking this? Who fucking is this?
So much for this. It made my day when I read it, and you gave me the perfect idea.
Lah. Kok gue masuk? Anjir, cok, jaringan bangsat.
special about Maple Web2 MapleStory community. We have a huge community who have played MapleStory in their lifetime, but might not be playing at the moment, or turned away from the game.
Siapa tuh?
And we have about at least 200 million plus users who are like that. And I think a lot of users, hey, I have played this game a long time ago. I think it still looks fantastic, brings back a lot of childhood memory. I'm into blockchain. I like NFTs and tokens. Why not? Should I just give it a try? If it's a Web2 MapleStory, I wouldn't bother start. But because it's like blockchain MapleStory, I am interested. So I'm seeing a lot of these kind of reactions from the community, which I think is positive. We are not, super cannibalizing the existing Maple Story franchise, but rather we're really expanding the entire pie and expanding the user base from our churn user base.
So I have to ask one of maybe two difficult questions this interview, but I'm always curious about it. So I'm curious. So Nextbase is a subsidiary of Nexon, which, for anyone who doesn't know, Nexon is the owner of the original MapleStory IP. They also created a game which I've really enjoyed in the past year, which is the Finals. Very, very successful game developer and a big name in the space, really. Now, I noticed that when I looked on the Nexon website, they list.
Wait.
Actually, we are in a very, very close.
Kok ngelek?
As a whole, not just Nextbase, but Nexon as a whole, we would love to advertise, our games, expand the reach of the game. But the regulations, especially in Korea, given the size of Nexon in Korea, we are under a huge scrutiny. And blockchain related game, coin emitting games are they are not allowed in Korea. I think that's the reason why we cannot do the marketing in Korea as well. And same as in the States. I think there is some risks involved of disseminating of our tokens to the U.S. citizens and things like that. So we're actually spending a lot of efforts, time and money into talking with jurisdictions, the authorities, the lawyers across the globe to expand how we can make this possible. But I think with new presidents elected in some core parts of the world, Donald Trump and even South Korea has recently got our new president. Hopefully, we would like to see some positive change in terms of regulations landscape in blockchain and also blockchain entertainment. And then we would be able to really do a full blown advertisement across the region.
So that brings me to my second question, which I could. So I wanted to, whenever I write about anything, I like to test it first. I like first-hand experience. I don't like to talk about things I don't know about. But I can't play. I mean, I did. I have a VPN, but I can't play it in the UK.
Can't play it in the UK.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to get you in trouble. But I can't play it in the UK. And I thought, well, I wonder where else you can't play it. And you can't play it in the US. Then obviously the real eye-raising ones, you can't play it in South Korea.
Woi, Ci.
Nexon being a South Korea.
Apa El Semur? Gila ngelek
And
banget,
you can't play it in
cok.
Japan, I think.
Ini
You can't play it in almost
di
any
OBS-nya
country. I
kuning,
read there's about 50
merah,
countries you can't play it on.
hijau,
So
kuning,
yeah, I've
merah,
got 2 points.
hijau,
Firstly,
anjay.
it makes your numbers all
Burik
more
banget
impressive.
anjing ini,
We're gonna come
internetnya
back to it. I want to
bangsat.
talk about those numbers. But secondly, do you think this is something that you are going to resolve, and we are going to see the game launch in different jurisdictions imminently, anytime soon? And how much of a consideration is this going forward with your strategy? Do you have to tweak anything? Do you have to adjust anything? Because it must be disappointing from you, particularly, you're building this game. It's incredibly successful. There are key markets, including your own, the native country of the game in a way. You can't launch them there. So that's got to be pretty disappointing. Like, what's your stance?
You got launched, man.
Korea, they cannot play the game. And also larger markets for example in China, in Japan, as you mentioned, lots of countries there, major countries, United States, pretty much every parts of Europe due to MICA, they are banned for now. And I think there's not a lot of things that we can be doing. in order for us to expand the reach, except for taking risks, like taking risks of authorities in different regions of the world suing us and asking us to shut down the service. Of course, I think we are really evaluating how much risks are we taking, how much markets are there, how much players are there in the region, really to see where we can be more risky, be taking more risks, and also we're also closely monitoring which part of the region that is changing their regulations into more favorable conditions for us to operate. And we're very optimistic about it. I think this is a path that cannot be stopped. This is a force that cannot be stopped. I think the world is already converging with lots of big part of our lives, including banking, how we store money, how governments have their strategic assets. It's already converging with blockchain, and I think entertainment is just uh, definitely one of the core contents that we have for our lives. And this is going forward. We're very positive that the regulators around the world will open up for this change, and we'll be getting ready for the change. We hope to share our voice on pushing for this change as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's limited what you can do. It's a big
About
problem
limited.
than just gaming.
About
It's
limited.
obviously a shame for you guys, particularly given the numbers you're doing. Now, let's just get into those numbers because they are what really raised my eyebrows. Now, last week we wrote an article on Cointelegraph, which was that you guys had basically helped push Avalanche above 1 million daily transactions, twice in 7 days. And that's what prompted me to make a little video, to make an X thread about it, and basically plant a flag and say, this is interesting. We should keep an eye on this. Since then, I've got the Nansen, not plugging them, they're friends of ours, but it's not sponsored. I've got a Nansen dashboard open for MapleStory right now and for Avalanche. And basically, the last
Gila ngelag banget tuh anjis.
four consecutive days, Avalanche has seen more than 1 million daily transactions.
Ini Wifi
Last 30 days
anjing.
is a very clear trend of increasing daily transactions. And if you look at the breakdown, 30% now, which I don't think it was 30% last Monday, but 30% now is MapleStory, which is crazy. So I've got a few questions. I want to talk about the numbers from your perspective of being behind the game and how gratifying that must feel. And if you're pleased with it. And then secondly, I want to get onto the technical side because there are obviously a lot of difficulties with that level of success. But firstly, I mean, are you pleased with those numbers? Were they what you expected or above that?
Yeah, I think that's something that we definitely have expected before our TGE, and also we have been in a close conversation with AvaCloud team, Avalanche team, to expect these numbers coming, expect this volume of transactions coming, and make sure that we are prepared for it, right? And even our very day one, 15th of May, when we had our TGEs, our airdrops, the Avalanche the gas fee has, I think, over like 20x that day, and we kind of alerted Avalanche team, hey, expect some huge tractions oncoming, and we don't want to be disappointing users. Hey, like blockchain has some issues and things like that. And so far, Avalanche team has been fantastic supporting us. I think with all these increasing actually tractions and transactions, our blockchains are doing pretty well. These numbers are growing as we expected. I think it's a very good sign.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't unmute then. Yes, I mean, I'm glad you expected them because I couldn't have predicted them myself because I just didn't think there was that much of an appetite for Web3 gaming right now. We've seen a lot of the games that have been successful in the past, what, 18 months have been non-games. To me, I don't believe a little clicker where you earn a token every time you click is a game. That's, to me, that's not a game. Whereas this is a game, and we've seen some, in inverted commas, triple A games launch with blockchain, and they've been flawed launches, and they've not been seeing the success that we'd hoped. There's also been a lot of games that had a long development horizon, from sort of 2020, 2021, and 2022, that obviously just got canned as soon as FTX collapsed and as soon as the market downturn happened. From what I understand, you guys have been developing this for a while. Is that a testament to Nexon's belief in blockchain technology, that they gave you the runway to get to this point?
100%, absolutely. So we have been building this product since November of 2021. I was there from day one. It took close to 42 months until we delivered the the product to the market. We never really expected this whole development process to be this long, to be honest. When we first began the development, we actually thought maybe a year or less. I mean, given that we already have all that contents and all the codes, and we have super team behind building this thing, we thought it was going to be much shorter. But along the way, along the last 4 years, almost 4 years of development, we saw Luna, we saw FTX, we saw multiple market actions that really drove a lot of developers out of the market. Also, a lot of our peer developers to give up even on building something on blockchain, right? And I think if you look at Nexon, we have in our DNA to experiment new things. We always like try to expand, experiment, invent and innovate new things, and that's really in our DNA. And you can not just me talking about it. If you see our actions, like how, for example, a few years ago we have bought 1,717 BTC. That's I think today it's worth over $200 million. We are one of the very few companies in the world that that is listed company and holds over hundreds of millions of BTC. We haven't sold a single of them. Our leadership had that conviction that, okay, internet was a thing, blockchain is the next thing. I mean, right now it looks like there's a lot of scams, there's nothing much to look at, but eventually, blockchain, when there is a leader, or there's a thought leader who experiments a cool concepts and make it happen, it's gonna be widely adopted. And I think that's what Nexon believes in. Eventually, this industry will grow much bigger. It seems big, but I think there's a huge, much more bigger room for its growth. And Maple Story is just baby step into blockchain gaming for now.
And next space, you're the right person to ask this. I'm a fan of Avalanche. I was at the AVAX summit a few weeks ago. They said it was in London. It wasn't in London. It was in Hertfordshire, because I live in Hertfordshire, so I would know. But it was a really good event, and I was thoroughly encouraged by how many people were there and building and proud to show what they're building. I've become a bit of a cynic with Web3 and crypto events. I think a lot of them are very kind of scammy and everyone's trying to shill you something, but that wasn't the vibe, and I was really impressed. But the question remains, when it comes to Nexon, Nextspace, Maple Story, why did you choose Avalanche? Why on Avalanche?
Avalanche has been, we have been working with Avalanche for last 2.5, 3 years. Before that, we were working with a number of other partners. We have tried out different things. We actually initially wanted to create our own mainnet because at the beginning, in the beginning, 2021, we thought all the mainnets were like, pretty much, get fork out of Ethereum, would do some branding, put the name up. In terms of technology, nothing much different, right? So why, bother helping other company, while we can, do the same for ourselves, right? And accrue the value on ourselves. I think that was our initial thought, and we actually, even now, we have a big core team, a big blockchain core development team, also smart contract development team, who should be capable of doing so. But what eventually our thought kind of changed to, we are a gaming company. Why not, focus on building the entertainment contents rather than having to, really spend a lot of effort into the infra layer. And that's when we started, experimenting things with Polygon also, and also Avalanche. And I think the reason why either Polygon or Avalanche was, selected as our partners to work with back then was it provided that, L1 kind of infrastructure, the supernets or the subnet structure, where we can have, kind of our mini mainnet, of our own, where we have more controls, controls over the permissionless system, the nodes, the deployment of the smart contracts, all these things. And we wanted to have the control because, we don't want this theme of decentralization to be a blocker to our entertainment, right? Because we want to run a decentralized network, we cannot do this and that. We don't want that to be happen because they are at the periphery of the ecosystem rather than at the core. At the core, we have the entertainment. And when we were